On Corcovado Mountain in Rio de Janeiro stands the famous statue of Cristo Redentor, Christ the Redeemer, probably the most famous statue of Jesus in the world. Christ, with his arms outstretched, evokes the Creator, Provident God, supreme over the cosmos, holding creation in being and pouring out his blessing upon it. Because it's white and atop a mountain, it also recalls the transfigured Christ, with arms outstretched and radiating like the sun, a promise of his resurrection and ascension. Yet before Christ's body was suffused with perpetual light, he would be humbled. Before his ascent to the throne of glory, he would be cast into the realm of the dead. No Christian can look at Christ with arms outstretched and not think also of his crucifixion. On this day, 2 millennia ago, Jesus addressed his farewell discourse to his first apostle priests, washed their feet, fed them his Eucharistic body, and took them out into the darkness. His heart, he said, was deeply troubled. So troubled he would sweat great drops of blood and beg that the cup be taken from him. The Sacred Heart is a heart of flesh, not stone, and it bears the full reality of human suffering from the inside. There is yet another significance in the image of Christ with arms outstretched, and that is the posture of priestly prayer and sacrifice. The Sacred Heart mediates divine grace and endless mercy through a human body, and then through the bodies of his brothers. When we see a priest offering the Mass, we should think of the transfigured Christ creating and sustaining the world, of Christ crucified, forgiving and redeeming that world, and of the Sacred Heart of Jesus embracing and blessing it all. And from that heart, we and our people take heart, that where there is suffering and darkness in our lives, he has been there. He is with us, transforming it for us. That where there is violence in the womb or home, conflict between neighbours and nations, injustice or indifference, that more and better are possible. For the heart of God is for us all. Where does this cardiac spirituality come from, and where does it lead us? Well, it's from the Bible that we get phrases such as take heart and take to heart, stealing or breaking someone's heart, getting your heart's desire, or being cut to the heart, having a heart ready to burst, or being of one heart. The Bible speaks of hearts that are reverent and believing, or disobedient and fickle, true and upright, or false and bent, of hearts generous or grudging, loving or hateful, brave or faint, proud or humble, faithful or astray, wholehearted or divided, glad or sinking. It praises truthful, grateful and resolute hearts, and condemns lying, closed or selfish ones. So when Jesus praised the pure of heart, or spoke of those with lust in their hearts, he presumed a long tradition about the heart as the seat of good and bad feelings, thoughts and deeds. Our hearts, he taught, are where our treasure is. The things we value most highly will frame our temptations, words and actions. God probes the human heart, and if we let him, refashions it after the pattern of his own. And so Jesus praised those with pure, humble, wise, forgiving or persevering hearts, but criticised the dull or hard or doubting heart. Those with hearts weighed down with dissipation, drunkenness and anxiety. Those whose hearts are far from God. His task was to convert hearts, renew hearts, replace hearts of stone with tender hearts of flesh. Or as we heard in our readings, to bind up every broken heart. When Jesus spoke of hearts conformed to God, he was not just indulging in moralising from a distance. As a baby, his mother had been warned that he was destined to be opposed, that his heart would be pierced, as hers would be also. In the sacred Triduum, that long persecution comes to its climax. Along the way of the cross, we hear Jesus praying the divine office, as it were, with heartfelt anguish, and we see those psalms enacted before our eyes. Finally, his troubled heart, his throbbing heart, his melted heart, now filled with every human anguish, is broken altogether and run through. Then one of the soldiers pierced his side with a lance. So they came at once, blood and water. If all this is so we might receive spiritual heart transplants, hearts of flesh for hearts of stone, hearts near to God rather than astray, hearts after that good shepherd, gentle and humble in heart, how are we to receive this grace? Who will minister to us baptismal water and Eucharistic blood flowing from Christ's side? I will give you shepherds after my own heart, God promised. The sirens of our age notwithstanding. Without priests, the Church cannot live out her mandate to go and make disciples of all nations, and to do this in remembrance of me. Without shepherds, she cannot lead and feed as Christ asked. But if priests are to bring human hearts in line with that of God, they must first conform their own hearts to Christ's. What animates and guides them must be a pastor's loving heart. Only then can we join Christ in converting hearts, renewing hearts, replacing hearts of stone with tender hearts of flesh. Where the age of the self is so soft-hearted as to recognise no limits, we preach so that hearts may be just. Where the age of indignation is so hard-hearted as to blame everyone else, we serve so that hearts might be merciful. So we take heart. Amidst the challenges of the present day, we hear God's promise to form shepherds after his own heart. And we hear the words Jesus spoke to his first priests on this day 2 millennia ago. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, believe also in me. Peace I leave with you. My own peace I give you. I no longer call you servants, I call you friends. For I've shared with you everything I've learned from my Father. You did not choose me. No, I chose you and appointed you to go out and bear fruit. If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. So do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. I will see you again, and then your hearts will rejoice, rejoicing with a joy that no one can take from you.